outdoors. I love being outdoors, even if I'm just playing sports, if I'm hiking, if I'm riding a bike. The entire company to spend less money on everything. Also, we want to have at least 25% of all the jobs having service and special projects, for example, maintenance. We want to make sure that it's okay. We want to make sure that 25% is on continuing job processes with our clients. And also we want to have a minimum of 25% of gross operating income, which means that it's the revenue minus the direct job costs. It doesn't count for rental or electricity or anything like that, but that's our goal for the gross operating income, is to have at least 25%. Also, the company has a really good culture. I would say we have a vision of being the leader in the market right now. We don't want to try to chase for people, but we want people trying to chase for us and fight for our job. Our mission, for sure, it's unparalleled loyalty. We want to make sure that people can trust us and they can trust that we're going to finish the job. We want to have turnkey solutions, so if anything comes up in the job that is a problem, we want to show the customer that we can solve any problem that comes up. Like, we are capable enough to give solutions to whoever needs it. Also, we want to attract and retain the best individuals, so whoever we see that have a really good talent and can really help the company grow, we want to bring these people here and make sure that they stay. And we also have an accident-free workplace. We want to make sure that all our employees, whenever they go to work, they will go back home safe and with no injuries or anything like that. And also, AC doesn't want to be average. We want to be above average. We want to set the bar high and exceed expectations as well. The core values, we want to have integrity. We want to be honest with whoever we are talking to. We want to provide a really good service to all of our customers, make sure that they feel comfortable talking to us. We also want to have a family environment where we are supporting each other rather than competing against each other inside of the company. And also, the company values a lot of the community. It's not only thinking about the company itself, but also thinking about the community around it. Like I said, safety is a really, really important thing for the company. We want to make sure that our employees are never going to be injured. Professionalism means just basically we want to respect and be polite towards any person we go and talk to. And knowledge, of course. We want to have the knowledge and show people that we know what we're doing in the job. This is a slide where some things that I saw last year and I thought was super nice, and I was very impressed, and you guys keep doing it. First of all, it's organization. I think every time I go to a meeting room, it's always organized. Everything has its own place, and it's not that easy to find a place where everything is so organized like that. Even the folders inside of the computers, everything has a place. It's a standard. Like, it's so easy to find a file that I need because I know where to go, because all the files are the same. Also, there's plenty of material supply. I can just go to the shelf and get anything that I need for my job. I don't even need to go to store myself and get it because the company provides that. And that was something that I was very impressed, because I haven't seen that before. And that was the first time I saw it, and I was like, whoa, I really have everything I need. Another thing is teamwork. It doesn't matter if I'm on the solar team, if I'm working with Chris Clark, if I'm working, I don't know, with Rusty. It doesn't matter. I can go to anybody and really ask for help and get somebody to answer my questions, which is so amazing. We're not competing, we're supporting each other. So I think that's something I saw last year, and this year was completely the same. Last thing is approachability. I think I can go and talk to Chris, which is the project engineer for solar, but I can also go to Rusty, which is the division manager, and can get answers anyway. It doesn't matter if it's the president, it doesn't matter if it's the apprentice in the field. I feel that I can just approach them easily, and I don't need to be ashamed of asking questions. Finally, let's talk a little bit about my experience right now and what I have learned, who I have worked with. So I mainly work with the solar team. So Kyle was my direct supervisor there. He's the project manager, and he helped me so much. Like, I cannot even put in words how much he helped me. And not only like on the work and how to do my work, but also how to lead and how to be a good employee towards others. He really taught me a lot on that. And then I worked a lot too with Chris. He's a project engineer and the right hand of Kyle. He taught me so much on the technical side. You guys have no idea. He's so knowledgeable, and I learned so much with him, especially because on the next slides I'm going to tell you guys, I don't learn about wires and conduits in school, which is weird, I know, but I'm an electrical engineering major. I don't learn about that. And he taught me everything I needed to know. Parallel runs, which kind of conduits, which kind of wires. It was really amazing. Norberto is the other project engineer, and he came halfway through my internship. So I kind of got to know him a little bit better right now, but he already helped me so much. He sits by my side, so anything that I need to ask, he was always super helpful and super willing to help me. Destiny is also a project assistant in the team. She came to CS office like this week, so that's when I started to get in touch more with her, but she helped me a lot, especially with Monday. She's so knowledgeable on that, and she helped me so much, especially whenever we're working on schedules there, so it was really nice. And finally, Daniel, he's always so willing to help. He's so helpful. I can literally just go there and ask him, why do we need to use optimizer for inverters, and he will have the answer in like 5 seconds. So he's super, super helpful too. Some of my responsibilities then, the first thing that I started doing here at AC with Kyle was creating schedules. So it was very challenging. I had no idea how to use Microsoft projects. I really had no idea. But he walked me through it, and I started helping him. And as much as, the more I was doing it, the more I was learning. So it was really nice to understand how the project goes and the step-by-step that it takes to actually have the entire project done. I did a little bit of MTOs as well. I work with Norberto and Daniel on that. So it's basically whenever the engineering drawings come up to us, we have to take all the measurements, put on a PDF, and then send it to the shop so they can start fabricating it. I did a little bit of job estimates and proposals. I had to bug Kyle a lot, but he allowed me to help him with that. So basically, I was doing a lot of site planning and understanding what I had to put on the budget to make sure that we have the correct values there. And I had no idea, for example, that I would need to think about portable restrooms to put on the job site. Like, I had no idea. And then I saw that and I was like, oh wow, we have to count for that cost too. And I was like, wow, they really need to think about everything. It was a wow moment for me. I also did a lot of site planning and cost breakdown. For example, for Varsity Produce, we were trying to analyze if it would be cheaper to have DC wire running from the carport to the lecture room or AC wire. So I had to basically do a lot of site planning, measure everything on Google Maps and make sure that everything was correct, and try to find the costs and put everything together and see what was cheaper on that case. So that was really fun because I got to learn a lot of stuff and how many wires I need for every single thing. So for my technical knowledge, that was amazing. Also, I did a little bit of schedule templates on Monday with Destiny. She had everything set up already. She did such a good job. But some of the stuff was not really working like properly the way we wanted. So I was like, Destiny, I don't have a lot to do today. Let me just help you on that. So we were just like working on that together, and I got to learn a lot actually about this tool, which is really cool and helpful. And a part of my lean proposal too, so helped me a lot. So I wanted to show you guys a little bit of my 5 biggest takeaways as well, my whoa moments, just like it. So the first one was something that Darren Alexander said in our meetings. Don't expect people to train you, lead yourself. And I felt that I was already doing that, but it didn't really click to me until he said it. It's really something that will happen in anywhere you go, because people are not going to have the time to sit down and tell you step by step what you have to do. You have to kind of like lead yourself to find an answer for everything. So some of the examples that it happened to me this summer that I had to believe myself was using the Iron Reach design tool, which is really cool. You put the amount of modules you need, the type of roof you're gonna have, which location you are, what is the speed, and it's gonna give you literally everything you need for the roof mount structure. So it was something that I had to learn, and Kai was like, okay, Carol, I need you to learn it and teach me and Chris. And I was like, okay, I'll do it. But yeah, it was really nice because I could learn that too. I also learned a lot of Microsoft projects. Like I was telling you guys, I had to do a lot of scheduling. So of course, Kyle gave me the basics and what I had to do, but there are a lot of formulas that you can use to ease the process. And that's something I had to learn and search it up about it and how to do it. And finally, Monday.com, of course. I had to use that tool a lot, and I learned that there's a lot of automations and formulas that you can also use on that, and I was shocked by that. And it's really nice. You can do literally anything on that too, so it's really cool. Second thing is that questions are good and part of the process. Probably the solar team is tired of hearing me saying, hey, I have a question. I do ask a lot of questions, but sometimes I call myself like not wanting to ask it because I thought I was being already annoying about asking so many questions. Until one day I said to Chris, I was like, Chris, I'm so sorry, I'm gonna annoy you again, but I have another question. He goes, Carol, you never bother me, just keep coming. And I was like, okay. So I started feeling way more comfortable about asking the more questions I had, like I was asking everybody about it. And also, something that somebody said to me, it's better that you know what you're doing than doing it wrong because you were afraid of asking questions. So why not? And it's a cinema of interest too. If I was not interested in that, I wouldn't be asking questions about it. Third is that I learned how to use the National Electrical Code book. I never saw that before in my life. Yay! So it's a book literally thick like that, and it shows you literally which wire you have to use, which conduit you have to use depending on the situation. And I had no idea how to use it. Literally, I had never seen that before. And here is a picture of my class, just so you guys can understand why we never learned that. Literally, electrical engineering, we learn how to create the system, but we don't learn how to build the system. So what we do, we have the power supply, we have transformers, we have resistors. But what we are learning here is what is the current on the primary side of the transformer? Or what is the power that this resistor is taking from the system? But we don't really learn how all of that is connected. So that's why I never really heard about this book, because we don't really talk about it. We just learn how to create the system and how to measure things there. So yeah, I learned a lot here about that. Fourth is the project process. I didn't know that you had to do so many steps until you actually get the job done. And doing the schedules helped me a lot to see that. Of course, we have the contract, and then we go to engineering, and then we go to the construction. That's kind of like the basis. But inside of engineering, for example, there's so much. Like you have to do the permit, and it has to go to the city, and sometimes the city will bring it back to you, and then you have to do some adjustments, and then send it back, and sometimes it come back to you again. So it's a long process, and I had no idea of how long it would take for you just to start building all the solar projects. So it was a one moment too on that. Oops. Finally, we had the meetings with the executive teams, and that was super nice for me. As I told you guys, I love learning about people's path and what they can bring to the table in my life. So we did a lot of them. We did 8. I mean, we're gonna have 8 by the end of this week. We did with Rusty, Julie, Jennifer. Unfortunately, I was not there because I was on a job site. And then we did with Darren, Isaac, Michelle, Margaret, and we're gonna do with Bob this week. So it was super exciting, and I learned a lot from that. And something that I was always asking you guys, what advice would you give to your younger self? And it's a really hard question. Like, it's not really easy to find an answer for that. But you guys brought a lot of good things that we learned. And I'll talk a little bit about what I got from each one of you guys. From Rusty, he did talk about the DDCRK. So we don't really need to come in a job knowing everything. As long as you have desire, discipline, communication, resourcefulness, and knowledge, that's all you need. Like, you're gonna learn what you're gonna do as long as you have all of that on you. Julie brought something saying, love yourself more and don't be so hard on yourself. And that resonated a lot with me because I'm very perfectionist and I don't like to be wrong. So sometimes I am very hard on myself, and that kind of like reminded me like, okay, Carol, you gotta like, ease more on yourself. Darren said, live with your ideas and let things happen on their own time. Sometimes you're not going to be able to control things, and you have to accept that and let things happen. Isaac said, don't let time pass by when you have an opportunity to start it early. So if you can do it right now, why don't you? So that was really nice too. Michelle brought, it is okay to be uncomfortable. You find a way to succeed. And that's true. Sometimes you're going to be uncomfortable where we are, and we cannot just freak out. We have to relax. We're going to find something. As my dad always says, there's always a solution for a problem, so you find something. And also Margaret, the first advice she gave us is don't marry. Don't get married. But the second one, sorry, I had to say that. Anyways, but the second one was really nice because she said she didn't really have an advice for younger self because every experience she had served for a purpose in her life. And I thought that was so powerful because if you don't have the problems to go through, we're not going to learn from it. So that was really powerful. Finally, let's go for my lame proposal. So first of all, we got to talk about the problem, right? Like, what is the problem that I have seen? What happens if you rent an equipment here at AC? But you forget to call it off, and then you're still. What is going to happen if you forget to call it off? Can anybody give me an answer on that?
Keep getting charged.
Keep paying?
Yeah.
Exactly, keep getting charged for it, right? So it's not fun. It's kind of like I was supposed to pay rent on the 1st, and I forgot about it, and then it's the 4th, and I'm paying like $40 more because of that. So it's some money that you're not expected to waste, So that's the first problem I've seen. Of course, the tracking of the rental materials is being on a monthly basis, and right now they realize that, and they're already working on it, on keeping track of that weekly. And they're doing a great job right now. But I did see that maybe if I can help send reminders about it, that will not happen again. Because whenever you receive a notification and a reminder, you're like, okay, I need to do that, right? So why not try to create something like that will help people just to, hey, I need to call it off, It's coming the date, I don't want to lose money. So first of all, where did I think about that solution first? 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, because you want to be effective, right? So if you haven't read that book before, we have 4 quadrants. I'm going to go over really briefly with you guys. It has much more on that, but basically the first quadrant is when everything is urgent and important at the same time. It's basically whoever's procrastinating so much. Like, oh my gosh, I should do today. Oh my gosh, I need to do that right now. Like, it's something that you didn't plan well, so everything is a problem right now. Quadrant 2 is where you want to be at because you want to plan everything. So it's super important, but it's not urgent. So you have time to do things. So it's basically you're planning for all the tasks you have during the month, during the year, during whatever timeline you have. Quadrant 3, I like to say that it's the yes men. It's people who say yes for everything. So, oh yes, I'll go with you that weekend. Oh yes, I'll go with you that weekend too. So then you're running into a lot of problems because you compromise yourself to do so many things, but you're not going to be able to do all of that. So it's going to be not important, but urgent because it has to be done now. And then quadrant 4 is basically your lazy time, I like to say. So people who like to be on the phone too much, who's on the social media, who's using a lot of TV, and you need that in your life, but you have to have a balance of that. So it's basically things that are not important and not urgent. So going back to my problem, if I'm having a problem that I'm not calling it off and I'm being billed by it, which quadrant am I?
You're living in 4 or 1.
In 1, right?
Yeah.
Because it's urgent and important because I need to get it done now, right? So it's on quadrant 1. So my solution is what? Create a planner. and be on quadrant 2. So I'm not gonna have that problem again. So my solution is create a DJ tracker on Monday. Why so? I do know that we have a DJ tracker and it's really helpful and really useful for us. But what if you can see that every single day? Because the solar team, at least, we are always looking into Monday every single day, and we are checking our tasks. We are giving tasks to others through that too as well. So if you can see that every day, you're not gonna forget about it. So that's why I chose Monday for it. And also because you can create so many automations, you can create formulas on that will help you manage all of that. So first I wanted to talk about some automations that you can use on Monday to help you out with that. The first one is, for example, if you have a receiving day, whenever you receive the material, and a returning day, I can set up Monday to send an email 2 days before the returning day to the project engineer. So he has a timeline of 48 hours to actually call the third party and tell them, hey, we're calling it off, or hey, we're extending the rental, and he has that time to figure that out before he actually takes an action for it. The second thing is that you can create a time tracker. So for example, if I have a receiving date and I put there status, it's confirmed, we're gonna have that. So that's when the starting tracker is gonna start counting seconds and minutes and hours for that. And I can also, for example, put whenever the returning dates come and the action is to call it off, stop my tracker. So it's gonna just count for that amount of time that you had that rental equipment in your company, right? Third thing is that you can automatically populate things instead of writing it down. So for example, I can have a vendor code and a vendor name, but I can set up an automation that whenever I select AC, for example, the vendor name will be automatically AC Electric. So I know it's like a 2-second thing that is gonna be done, but it's gonna save you 2 seconds of your day, but whenever you're doing that so much, it helps a lot. Especially for new people too, because sometimes they don't really know the name of things or the codes, so whenever they choose a code, it's gonna automatically pop up there. Also, you're gonna have to include some inputs as well, of course. For example, you're gonna need to know all of that whenever you're inputting all your stuff in there. For example, the receiving day, rental duration, and returning day, some things that you have to input there so the system can acknowledge the data. Also, you can have a drop-down button with action, so you can call it off or extend your rental, just so for people who are not really engaged in that system, for example, they can just go on Monday, they know what is happening. You're gonna have to input your vendor code, of course, choose your status if it's confirmed, if you're waiting on a review, if it's rejected, and also you can input your rate and your duration here, and if you create, I'm gonna talk a little bit about it on the next slide, but it's gonna pop up the total cost automatically too. The next is the formulas. I know it looks horrible when you look at that, but I swear it's not that bad. For example, if I wanna put whoever is in charge of the rental here, and I wanna have an automatically phone number by the side of that, so I don't need to keep asking people for their phone numbers, they're already there, it's like a 1-minute call. I can create a formula for that. So basically, if I'm saying if the renter and owner of the cost is Daniel Flores, I want you to populate this phone number. If the renter cost is Chris Rothschild, I want you to populate this phone number. So this is automatically gonna populate here for you. And I think it's just nice to have the phone numbers there, because especially for new people who are coming into AC, they're not gonna have everybody's phone number. So it's just easy, it's gonna be right there, so you don't need to keep asking people for that, you know? And also the job to date calculations are very easy. It's just 1-line code. You can just say, hey, I wanted to round up the multiplication between rate and duration and just give me 2 decimal places. So it's something that it's so easy to do, and it's gonna be automatically populated there for you. And it's gonna help you out to just manage the costs too. So this is a basic idea of what you guys can do. Monday has so many features, and you guys can literally just make this even better. But that was my suggestion, just to make sure that you guys are always looking at that and managing that well. Hopefully that helps somehow, and maybe if it's even a basic idea for a better idea. But I just thought that would maybe help with this little problem that I have seen in the company. And that's it. Just wanted to thank you guys for being here and for watching it online. And thank you for having me another summer. I'm really grateful for every single one of you guys. Thank you.
Well done.
If you guys have any questions, throw it at me.
As the questions are being asked you, if you would repeat them for our audience.
Yeah.
Thank you. Questions? I've got a question. How did you utilize and improve upon the DJ tracker that exists in Excel? How did you use that as a resource and decide, I can improve here, here, here?
Okay, how did I come up with that idea, basically, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have seen that happening in one of the meetings whenever they're trying to solve a problem, and I noticed that. And I was like, okay, maybe I can try to figure out some way to kind of make that happen. And that's when I was like, oh, I can use that for my link proposal too. So I started to look into the folders, and I found the DJ tracker on Excel, and I tried to kind of like put all the information that was in that Excel on Monday. And from that, I tried to create automations and think about things that would help to send reminders and to ease the process of that and make sure that we're not missing that again. So that's kind of how I got the idea.
Do you remember what meeting that was that you were in where you got the idea and put those two things together?
It was a meeting that we were preparing for projections with all the solar team, so we were talking about all of that. But yeah, I think that was the meeting.
Nice. Yes.
So you mentioned you were tasked with learning Iron Ridge first,
Yes.
and then teaching Kyle and Chris.
Yeah.
I'm interested in hearing what methods you used to teach them that after you had learned it.
So the method I used to teach Iron Ridge, I actually didn't get the chance yet to go over that with them. But of course, they are usually very busy, so I would probably find a time with them, sit down and just show whatever I could do with that tool. But I didn't come to that yet. It's something that it needs to be done this week probably.
I'd like to know how else you're using Monday. So it sounds like you find Monday a really successful tool. Had you ever used it before you came, and how are you using it in other areas?
So if I have ever used Monday before and how I'm using it right now, I have never used it before. It's something that I learned here. I've heard of it before, and especially because my family's company back in Brazil, they use something really similar. But I never really started to get in touch with that until last year, but this year even more because I was actually being part of a lot of things in that team. So that's when I kind of taught myself a little bit of everything on there.
Outstanding. Kyle has his hand raised. Kyle, you want to unmute and ask?
Hi, Kyle.
Hey, Carol. I don't have a question, but I just wanted to say and speak for the team that having you back this summer was wonderful. Your positive attitude and how you attack every problem, you see problems as opportunities with a smile on your face and a great attitude, and we loved having you again this summer, and just wanted to say thank you for coming to join us again.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Very good. Any other questions? How about projections? Walk us through what your role was, and were you able to go to both months or just
I
one?
went to one, I think.
Okay. Well, first then, why do you think we have projections? You did go to two, okay.
Yeah, I was like, no.
What's the why behind having those all-day meetings?
So the question is basically, what is the why behind having all the projection meetings? But I have been to two of them. One of them, Kai was not there, but the entire team was there to back him up. It's really important to have those projections meetings, especially because whenever you're struggling with something, you know that you have somebody to help you think through it and help you manage your jobs. And also it's just a way of keeping track of everything and letting the company know about everything that is happening in your jobs. Because of course the division manager is not going to be able to be on track of every single job that is happening in the company. So the projections meeting is basically a summary of whatever you have been doing on the month and showing the company the pros and cons from the jobs that you're working on.
Okay. And what was your role in setting up projections
I'm
for
sorry.
2 months? That's
Yeah,
okay.
my role and the projections, I was basically observing. I didn't really have a role on like saying something, especially because I'm learning so much. This is a really hard tool if you have seen it only once or twice. But I did ask some questions as always, but my role was basically observing and trying to learn as much as I could during those meetings. Any other questions? Any other questions online? I don't know. I cannot see people.
So I have another question. How about, so you'll be exiting on Friday and going to track camp, is that right? Preconditioning for track, is that right?
For volleyball. Yes.
Oh, for
Yeah.
okay, I thought that you had seasoned out.
Oh no. So basically next week I'm going to be starting preseason for volleyball. That's what Jennifer was asking. I'm going to be finishing up my internship on Friday, and on Monday I am already practicing with the team. It's just not with the coaches yet, but I'm going to be starting preseason and training twice a day and lifting and doing all that stuff for the season, because it's going to be my senior one, so it's going to be the last one, hopefully the best one. But yeah, so I'm going to be starting with volleyball.
Great, okay. So of the responsibilities that you had this summer, what do you see as being, where are we going to drop the ball because Carol wasn't here to take care of it? What are the key things you want to see handed off, and who would you hand them to?
So who I would be handing the things I have done here, I would probably be handing that to Destiny, because she is so knowledgeable on Monday. She can definitely work that out so quickly too, and it's something that I feel that it would be in her area to take care of. So I would probably give it to her, let her roll it.
I have another question.
Good.
So you mentioned that in school they teach you the engineering side of it, but they don't really teach you the construction side. So what's the most interesting technical thing that Chris, Daniel, Kyle, that your team taught you while you were here this summer?
So the most interesting thing on the construction side that people taught me was probably running parallel runs. Sorry, it's very technical. But so whenever you have a very high amperage on a system, we cannot use the correct size for that system of wire because it's too big and it's too hard to find, and it's something that it's just too expensive. So you have to think about dividing that system in two and running with different conduits that are smaller, cheaper, and easier to find. So it's something that I didn't know that could happen, and I actually learned here. And Chris actually helped me a lot on that. He was my mentor on all the technical stuff.
Very cool. We have a comment from our Facebook Live audience. From Katie Couch, what was your favorite part of this program this year?
My favorite part of the internship this year is probably being able to get closer to the other interns. I think I didn't have that chance last year, and we were only in 4, and I only had one person that I actually talked to because we used to work with me, and I love him. It was Dak last year. We had a great time together. But I feel that this year there were a lot of emphasis on trying to make the interns get to know each other, and I'm very grateful that I met you guys. But I think it's nice because, as you guys know, I love meeting new people and creating more relationships. So it was really nice for me that, yeah.
Very good. Final chance. Going, going, gone. Nice job.
Yeah. Thank you guys.
You want to tell them this concludes our program?
Oh,
Thank
yeah.
you.
This concludes the presentation. Thank you so much for joining in, and I hope you guys have fun with the next interns presenting.